Hey guys, this is Nick, and this is Nick's Collectables. What I have for you today is not one product, but two products. The original Destro from the Wave 1 line of the G.I. Joe Classified series, which I just now finally managed to get my hands on. Man, this guy's hard to find. But on top of that, I actually have Profit Director Destro, which is actually not supposed to be out till right around October. But Big Bad has started to get these in early, and I'm starting to see them. Hasbro Pulse still has this on pre-order. I'm really excited to get into this one, mostly because I feel like they just kind of went crazy and swung for the fences, and so I'm really looking forward to checking out both of these guys, taking a look at them, and seeing what we like, what we don't like. So stick around, let's have some fun. Okay, before we get too far in, I'd like to ask you guys to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and hit the bell to make sure you don't miss anything. But for now, let's go and take a good long look at these two guys. As you can see, the mold is identical, and why wouldn't it be? They're basically repaints of each other. But you will notice if you look close that they actually painted the eyes black on the Profit Director version of the figure, which honestly, I like, and I wish they had done more prominently on the original to give him a bit more depth. It's not that the original head is bad, it's just that the eyes tend to blend in with the rest of the head sculpt, and I'd like them a bit more noticeable. That said, the head sculpt is actually really nice on both figures. There are tons of fine little details that that give it that subtle but important detailing that you want out of this line. I will say though, I think the Profit Director one wins by a very small margin, mostly because I think the gold shows off all the fine details around the eyes and mouth more so than the highly reflective chrome that he commonly has. I am, however, a little disappointed in a few things as I look at the Profit Director version. He was supposed to come with two-tone shades, red on top and blue on the bottom, but these are clearly some kind of like purplish gold color. It's not bad looking, it's just not what was on the promo images. The eyes were also supposed to have green pupils, and mine doesn't have any pupils at all. So, it's not a deal breaker, but it's worth noting that the final product doesn't quite match up with what was shown to us. Now, let's go and get into the head motion. That's actually pretty good. He can look left and right, as well as up and down. The neck itself doesn't turn, but I don't think it hurts the figure much overall that it doesn't. He also has this really nice necklace that almost looks like it could come off, but after trying for a little bit, I opted not to push it too much because I was afraid I would break it before I actually got enough clearance to take off his head and remove it. Now, looking at some of the more details around the head, I'm noticing how nice the collar is on both figures. In my mind, I kind of like the original a little bit better, just because the red there is really clean and simple and basically reminds me of the classic Destro that we all know and love. I will admit though that the leopard print on the director version was a really nice touch and ties in really well with the cape that they gave him to go with it. Speaking of capes, let's go ahead and look at how insane this thing is. It is a really nice looking piece and slides right over his head and sits very nicely over his shoulders. I even like how they had the leopard skin draped over the more traditional red cape as well. I almost wish this had been fabric instead of a molded piece of plastic, but frankly I don't think it would have draped this nicely if they had gone that route, so I'll pretty much take it how it is. For now though, I think I'll go ahead and remove the cape just to make sure it's a little easier to continue to compare the two. There, now that I have those removed, you can kind of see the Profit Director suffers a little bit in color next to the original, where the more traditional one has some gray accents on the shoulders and the chest. The Director version is all one color. I wouldn't have minded a little more leopard print here or some gold to go with his helmet, just to make this stand out more, but it's pretty clear by the fact that they didn't do that they mostly expect you to keep the cape on at all times to make him stand out more in this area. I do, however, like the gray that they put in the center of the chest to break up the colors. It's something the original doesn't have, and something that was really needed to break up all this burgundy color on the Profit Director version. Most of the other details are identical, save the color of the Director version of having gold wrist rockets instead of the red the original has, and the detailing on both is really nicely done. They both have really good wrist, elbow, and bicep motion, along with good arm movement overall. So long as you don't have the director's cape on, that actually hinders his movement, obviously, because the cape gets in the way of the arm moving. The back of the two is very similar, with the original edging out the repaint just a bit by the fact that it has more colors here, giving a bit more dimension overall. Neither one of these has great movement at the waist. It feels very stiff, it moves, but it doesn't feel all that smooth. But they do both have a really nice ab crunch, and that gives them pretty good posability overall in this area, so that's a win. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at this belt. The belt on both, I honestly like the original better, and the reason I do is because it has this red detailing on it that gives it a little bit more dimension and makes it stand out better than the repaint version because it's all one color. I'm pretty much calling it a tie on the holster. Both work in their own way, and even though I like the color on the original better for being more red than orange, I don't think that color would have worked at all on the Prophet Director one. The one thing I will note though is that the belt and the holster are separate pieces that are attached together and not molded to the figure. They look like they should come off, but I was unable to find any real way to remove them, so I wouldn't struggle too hard with it because you might actually break something trying to do that. I do, however, like how the holster actually holds his golden gun, and this is an identical weapon between the two. It's just very Destro, regardless of paint job, and I think it actually looks great. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the legs real quick. I know, they're gaudy, but I gotta give it to the director version on here. It's really because they're so gaudy. It just leans completely the right way for what they were going with this guy. I even like the gold that they put on the toe of the boots, and it's just nice and it helps tie the figure together nicely. The movement is pretty much what you expect. You can move his legs out 90 degrees, he has good movement at the knee going past 90, and he has good articulation side to side but not up and down on the foot. He also goes forward about 90. And as usual with this line, he struggles with his leg going back. Nothing major, but worth noting. So, now that you've had a look at most of what comes with the figure, let's go ahead and take a look at the last few things before we go, that are the accessories, before we go ahead and put these guys down, okay? I'm going to go and put these guys to the side, actually, so give me just a minute. Okay, you can see both of these guys have briefcases, which do open, revealing money and a laptop inside both. And they both look really good and fit in their hands rather well. The original Destro comes with another laser pistol that honestly I love. I think this thing looks fantastic. It's very high tech, yet military looking, and has some nice red detailing on it. I think this might actually be my favorite weapon from the line so far, just because they put the time into adding those extra touches, rather than just a simple mold they did for, say, the Cobra Trooper. The Prophet Director comes with, well, a burning stack of cash, which is perfect for him. I wish they had given him a more gold-plated version of the original laser pistol as well, but I wouldn't want to not have him burning fat stacks of cash either. It just works for the figure. So, I know after we've gone and looked at all this, what you want to know is how tall are they and how do they look with the other figures. Well, they're both roughly 6.5 inches tall, which is a little taller than average. Comparing them to Scarlet, the Prophet Director really doesn't fit in very well with her, and he's closer than like anything from the Cobra Online, but the original Destro does. If you go ahead and pick up Roebuck from the Cobra Online, you can see that the Prophet Director really doesn't fit with him, but the original Destro does. I'd have to say that if I had to pick one of these, I would probably end up picking the original Destro, just because he fits with more and the whole being able to set up a battle would be better. If I had enough money, I would probably pick up both, because who wouldn't want to have Destro with flaming fat stacks of cash hanging out on your shelf if you're into this line? But I don't know, that's my point. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you like them? Do you not like them? But as always, I will see you next time.